Hey, what's up, guys? I'm not going to take too much of your time. Before I get started, I want to show you guys something me and the wife been working on, man. Feel real proud about this. We're almost finished with our podcast studio. As you can see, we've been really working on this. We've really been putting it together, So we're real happy about this. We invested quite a bit in the last year in trying to get this podcast together. It's finally getting ready to come to fruition. So if there's anybody out there that got any advice on content creating or streaming services or anything like that, please reach out to us. We appreciate it. We had everything professionally installed by a company called Half Coast Studios. They're cost-effective, cost-affordable, right in West St. Louis County. Very prompt with what they do. I mean, they came out 2 days, put the whole thing together for us. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Tonight we're going to talk about 5 methods to boost your credit rating. Method number 1, and probably the most important method, is paying your bills on time. Whether it's your car note, your mortgage, credit cards, you literally have 30 days in order to make a payment. You know what I'm saying? You have 30 days to make a payment before it goes on your credit report as a missed payment or a late payment. And you have 90 to 120 days before it goes on your credit report as either a charge off, or they could call it send it to collections. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to think about that. You have time to make the payment. Now, if you find yourself in a situation to where you're like, I can't make this payment, I just don't have the funds, pick up the phone and call them. You know what I'm saying? Pick up the phone and call them. During COVID, that was one of my number one strategies with a lot of our clients. I just had to simply pick the phone up and call the creditor and say, hey, look, I can't make this payment right now. Can you put me in forbearance? And forbearance means they're going to take 2 or 3 months of excused payments and just put it at the end. That's all they're going to do, particularly when it comes to a car note or mortgage. A lot of credit card companies will suspend your credit card for 90 days until you catch up on the payments without you going to late payments. Just pick up the phone and call, especially right now during this time. It's a lot of companies out there that are offering a whole lot of assistance because they don't get paid if you don't pay them. You know what I'm saying? And they understand because they're going through the same things that we're going through. So your goal should always be to neutralize late payments as much as possible. No matter what you have to do, too many late payments show creditors that you're uncredit worthy. Why should I extend you new credit? Why should I give you a mortgage? Why should I sell you this car when you have shown that your habit is not paying payments on time? And another thing I always tell our clients, I would rather deal with a collections or a charge off than deal with a late payment. A late payment can stay on your credits for up to 7 years. However, let's say you've had some indiscretions. One late payment may be forgiven. You know what I'm saying? You could write a letter to the creditor. One late payment, he may forgive. But if you have multiple late payments, it's not going to happen. And the only way to neutralize that is making the next 6 months to a year payments on time. It weakens the late payment. It shows the creditor that financially your habits change. Maybe you got a better job, you start making more money. Whatever the case may be, it shows the creditor that, okay, in the last 8 months, he's been making all his payments on time. So whatever was going on before isn't occurring now. That's the only way to really get around late payments, other than waiting for 7 years. One late payment can be forgiven. Multiple, they're not going to touch them. They're not. You have to neutralize it by making the next payments on time. All right. For current credit card holders, your utilization. And I only use the term utilization if you're getting ready to actually use your credit. If you're not getting ready to use your credit, in the next year or two, I'm not applying for anything. I got the vehicle I want. I live where I want to live. I'm not looking to make no extravagant purchases. You don't have to worry about credit utilization. You don't even have to worry about your credit score, because the credit score is easily manipulated. So you don't even have to worry about a credit score. Only time you have to worry about utilization is when you're getting ready to apply for new credit, services, or product. And the rule of thumb is they want you to be 30% or under. I've heard people say lately they want you to be 25% of under. I spoke to someone at Simmons Bank, and he said that as long as you're 48% or under, they'll work with you depending on how much debt you have. So as you can tell, the criteria is kind of different, but the rule of thumb generally is if you're applying for new credit, you want to be 30% or under a utilization. And what utilization means is this: you take all your credit, all right? You take all your credit and you add it together. And you take all your debt and you add it together, and you multiply how much usage are you using. Case in point. Let's say I have a $150 credit card and I owe $50 on a credit card. I've used 30% of that credit card. The same thing happens if I had a $10,000 credit card. If I have a $10,000 credit card and I spent $3,000 of that credit card, I have maybe a 27, 28% utilization. So if you are a current credit card user, now there are other ways to bring down your utilization. There are other ways to bring down your utilization, meaning that authorized users. You can get an authorized user that has a high limit credit card but very low usage and add it to your credit. That will actually bring down your utilization. Another way to bring down utilization is secure cards. A lot of people say they don't like secure cards. They stay away from secure cards. Me personally, I advocate them for people with bad credit. You know what I'm saying? If you have bad credit, I always suggest getting secure cards, because it's easier for you to get secure cards than regular credit cards. Sometimes with secure cards, they don't even run your credit. If you got an extra $200, you put it on a secure card. Now you got a secure card that's reporting to all 3 credit agencies. Your score will actually increase. A lot of my clients, they see a lot of things coming off of their credit reports, and they're like, man, why my score isn't going up? Removing items from your credit doesn't necessarily increase your credit score. It's creating new credit. New credit is what increases your credit score. And there are a lot of methods in order to create new credit. All right. Another thing for my credit card holders, understand the difference between what is a charge off and what is collections. A lot of people don't understand this. There's a vast difference between a charge off, and a collections. For example, a charge off could be a repo, foreclosure, evictions, personal loans, utility bills. It's when you have 4 to 6 months of non-payment on a charge, and they charge it off, meaning that the company took it as a loss. Now, some would have you believe that, oh, well, since they wrote it off as a loss, you don't have to pay it. That's not true. That's still your debt. Even though they wrote it off as a loss, and they probably got some type of tax gain off of it. I don't know the inside scoop on that. But even though they wrote the charge off as a loss, you are still responsible for that debt. All right, you're still responsible. It is so difficult to remove a charge off. However, there are a lot of laws that protect us from the consumer, and we use those laws against them. Like a lot of times you hear guys talk about 15 USC 1681. They talk a jargon that you have no idea what they're talking about. It comes from this book here, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This was in 2020. This is the new one that just came out in 2023. This is the laws that protect us as the consumer against lending companies and predatory practices. When it comes to charge-offs, charge-offs is considered the way we challenge charge-offs is we look for Truth in Lending Act violations, which is called TILA. TILA is called Truth in Lending Act. And what we look for, particularly when it comes to repos and evictions, we look for information that the consumer wasn't told by the lender at the time of the purchase. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that, say you go buy a car and he didn't tell you that after 6 months the interest rate was going to go from 9% to 27%. That's a violation. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You go get an apartment and the landlord says, he locks you into a lease and you're thinking that you're going to be paying one price per month, and then in 6 months it doubles. He can't do that. It's called Truth in Lending Act. So a lot of times with companies that try to get charge-offs off, they really try to use the Truth in Lending Act. And sometimes it's successful. Like I say, charge-offs can be very difficult, to prove. Very difficult to prove. And also when it comes to collections, we use this. This is the Bible when it comes to collections. This is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. We use this when it comes to collections. I'm going to try to run through this. If you have current credit cards and let's say you have current credit cards and you do have low utilization on your credit card. I got $1,000 credit card. I only spent $200 on it. I think I want to apply for another card. Before applying for another card, apply for a credit line increase. Most cards allow you to apply for credit line increases either every 91 days or every 6 months. Each card is different. I think, let's say Citibank lets you do it like every 91 days. Maybe Federal lets you do it every 91 days, but American Express, I believe, is like every 6 months you can apply for a new card or a credit line increase. We're going to stick with credit line increase. The reason why I like to apply for a credit line increase as opposed to a new credit card is because, let's say, again, I have this $1,000 credit card. I've been using it for 91 days, 6 months, however long it's been, and I've been doing the right thing with it, and I apply for an increase, it may go from $1,500 to $5,000, as opposed to applying for a new credit card. If I apply for a new credit card, they may just give me $1,000, because oftentimes they'll see how much credit you currently have, and they'll base how much they're going to give you based off what you currently have. So if your largest credit card is $1,500, chances are the new credit card is not going to exceed $1,500. However, if you request a credit line increase, it can go from $1,500 to $5,000. I tell people this story all the time. My Capital One card started with $500. Literally $500. And it was a secure Capital One card. It started with $500. Now it's unsecured and it's $15,000 on a Capital One card. That's on one of my Capital One cards. I got 3 of them. So I always suggest using the credit line increase. And lastly, for credit card holders, and forgive me, I got a cold. Lastly, for credit card holders, CPNs are illegal. All right, flat out. I know people on TikTok tell you they're not illegal. It's how you use them that makes them illegal. CPNs are illegal. And I say that to say this here. Because of the insurgence of CPNs, trade lines have become weaker. It used to be a time where you can go out and get a big trade line, or even your grandparents. Say your grandparents got some credit cards and they're not really using them, and they got high limits because their credit cards are 30, 40 years old, and they just put me on the card. I want to use the authorized user on your card. boost my credit score. It doesn't have the same impact that it used to have when it comes to trade lines. So I'm only saying it as buyer beware. When you go out and you buy these trade lines and then you get them and you put them on your credit, and your credit score go from 600 to 750 because of the trade line, and then you go apply for something and you get denied, and you try to figure out why you got denied. Well, because trade lines don't have that sense of power and authority that it used to have because of CPNs. With AI technology, ain't too much getting past nothing, to be honest with you. Like even now, if you apply for certain things, they have this system called Plaid, where they're able to go into your personal checking account and see your cash flow. You know what I'm saying? They have another system called DD 214. Like, say if you try to buy a house or get a loan from the bank, they have a form called DD 214 that you have to fill out, and the DD 214 allows them to go back and look at your past income tax returns. So it used to be a time where we just walk up with a folder and hand them our income tax returns. Those days are over with. You fill out the DD 214, and this the thing about the DD 214 is that it's federal. It's federal. So if you lie on that document and that institution run it looking for your tax returns and they don't find the tax returns, or you're not truthful about how much your tax returns were, you can be arrested. You can be arrested. And they even are doing DD 214s on auto loans right now. Navy Federal just started. You want to get an auto loan from Navy Federal, 2 years tax returns, DD 214. They no longer accepting what you say your income is. They're going out for tax returns. They going through Plaid. They going into your account. They're checking everything. So as time progresses, it's going to be harder and harder to shortcut the system. You're going to have to do it the right way. And it's going to be time consuming. It's not going to be overnight. Regardless of what these guys be telling you, oh man, 91 days, I can sweep it. I had a guy on Facebook the other day say he wiped out $100,000 in student loans in 91 days. Impossible. Not student loans. Impossible. It's absolutely impossible, because you're talking to somebody that actually studied. Like, I actually picked the phone up and called. I make calls. I talk to people. So no, that's absolutely impossible. But unfortunately, some people will believe that. Some people will believe that, and they end up losing their money. So again, my name is Timothy Gordon Bay. They call me Big Mo. We're gonna be bringing some information to you guys every day, man. Like, this is something that we do, and we love to do it. And again, we are not gatekeepers, and we're gonna tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Anything you want from us, we're not hard to find. Hit us up. Peace. Be safe out there.